Hello everyone, today I'm going to be talking about how to deal with failure. Especially in the tech industry, failure comes in many different forms, whether that be not getting accepted to a coding bootcamp school, bombing an interview, or being unable to meet your project deadlines. All of the things I mentioned is not a positive experience, but how you respond to it is super crucial for your career. I personally have gone through many iterations of failure. I've gotten far more rejections than offer letters from companies. My YouTube channel feels like it's stagnating and not many people are watching it compared to other YouTubers. A lot of these experiences and thoughts always come in my mind when I evaluate my accomplishment, but more importantly, my failures. Failure in the moment is really hard. From talking to a lot of aspiring developers who are looking for their first job, I noticed the fear of failure prevents them from applying and interviewing. Maybe you had a bad experience during an interview where they asked you a simple question that you couldn't answer. They gave you that rejection email and said, good luck on your future endeavors. Getting rejected can put you in a downward spiral where you start replaying those moments in your head. I should have studied this instead. Why did I go this route? You're going to start feeling stupid and potentially stop applying to jobs afterwards. You don't want to feel like a failure again, so you end up in this purgatory state where all you do is study, build projects, but never apply to a job. So how do we deal with this fear? I always hear this quote, failure is not an option. And of course, context is everything, but failure should always be an option. Otherwise, no one would do anything. To me, if you've never failed in anything, it means that you probably have never taken any huge risks in your life. I failed many coding challenges, many interviews, and got rejected by a lot of different companies. In the beginning, it really sucked that I couldn't get over that hump. I constantly questioned myself and my confidence was probably at an all-time low. Did I make the right decision to switch careers? What if I can't find a job? Is software developer not right for me? These are the questions I generally ask myself. But then I flipped the switch. I changed my mentality from thinking about these moments of failures as learning opportunities. Every failure is one step closer to success. Rather than complaining about not getting a job, ask yourself why you didn't get it. Emotionally, you need to move on, while at a high level, you need to ask yourself these questions. Number 1, could I have prepared a bit better based on the job I applied for? Number 2, was this a front end or back end position? If it's a front end position, did it seem like they were testing me more on JavaScript and CSS? Could I have studied CSS more knowing what I was applying for? Questions like these are super necessary for you to overcome your failures. Yes, you need to get over it, but if you're not going to adapt, then you're definitely going to keep failing. You shouldn't feel shameful or feel untalented if you don't succeed. It's part of the game and part of the process. I believe everyone goes through it, and how you respond to it is what differentiates the successful people and the unsuccessful people. To be able to overcome your failures, you have to be willing to move on quickly. I learned to just accept my rejections and ask the questions that I needed to improve myself. Flipping the narrative is essential. Instead of saying, I didn't get the job, I must not be a good software engineer, switch it and say, I didn't get the job, what can I do to prepare myself so next time I can be a better interviewer? Subtle changes like that will make a gradual but significant impact not only on your job hunt, but your career in general. How you deal with failure during a coding failure, salary negotiation failures, all of the things I mentioned above are still relevant for different situations of failures. Subtle changes like that will make a gradual but significant impact not only on your job hunt, but your career in general. So practice what you preach, right? I want to share an app that I built that I worked super hard on maybe last year. I would spend countless nights by myself, sacrifice weekends, and obsessively try to make this work. I wanted to build an alternative to Facebook that valued privacy and data protection. I called this app Debut, and for a few months I was getting a lot of feedback from the community and getting good traction. People wanted alternatives to Facebook and Instagram that value privacy without sacrificing performance. As excited as I was making the application, I was burning myself out. I was doing this by myself and my weaknesses and my cracks were showing. I didn't know how to market or monetize my application. Performance was starting to become an issue and I wasn't getting enough grant funding to keep going. Eventually, I made the tough decision to pump the brakes and stop development completely. It was a tough decision to make. It was the first time I had people genuinely interested in my app and I had a lot of pressure to succeed. When I decided to stop development, I felt like a failure. I couldn't meet the expectations of my friends and family who genuinely wanted an alternative. It took me a while to accept this failure, but once I did, Looking at it from a bigger picture and a bigger lens, I'm glad I went through it. Failures like what I went through is part of the process. I think about debut all the time when I start something new, whether it's my YouTube channel or side apps. Because of my failures, I constantly ask the right questions that I didn't before to make sure I put myself in a position that I can succeed. How do I find the right partners? What kind of equipment should I buy? Do I need to offload some of this work to someone else? I wouldn't have been able to ask these kind of questions if I haven't gone through what I did. So what can you get out of this? I would say embrace the failure, embrace the grind. Iterate and pivot as needed, and eventually you'll get what you're looking for. It's not easy, but the reality is that life isn't supposed to be easy. If you have any questions or comments about failures and how you deal with failures, please leave them in the comments below. If you have any questions specifically for me and want to schedule a one-on-one, feel free to click on the link below in the comments and we could talk about anything that you want. I'll see you in the next video, and TechRally out. Bye.